Are you going to do the hearing?
Judge, we're going to have one of our summer associates, Caleb McCain,
Okay.
on the call as well.
That's
So
fine.
we got one member of the public here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's 9:00 and Miss Hunsey's not here yet, so I'm going to give her office a call.
This meeting is being recorded.
Elizabeth Hunt.
Ms. Huns, this is Judge Torgerson. It's 9:00. We're supposed to be in our scheduling conference, witness and exhibit conference, and you're not here yet. When you get this message, please log into the conference as soon as possible. Thank you. Does anybody have another phone number for her? That's her office number.
Is that the 410-3861 number?
No. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Looks like we got someone joining. I don't know. The name is Samsung, but I don't know what. Ms. Hans, have you just joined us?
No. Why don't you shoot her a quick email and see if she'll respond to that?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You are. All right. Are you what appears on the screen is Samsung? Are you on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Let me.
Well, I just called your office number, so you can ignore that. Don't have to worry about returning a call.
Oh, okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We're here in the matter of Brett Kokkinaitis versus Karen Bedoni for New Mexico in the New Mexico State Ethics Commission, cause number 2022-27. Counsel, please state your appearances for the record.
Good morning, Judge Torgerson. This is Walker Boyd, here's an intervener for the General Counsel's office. Thank you.
And Elizabeth Hunts for Miss Karen Bedoni for New Mexico.
All right, thank you. We're here this morning to discuss witnesses and exhibits that the parties intend to offer at our hearing on Monday. I think on Wednesday, I received a email from Mr. Boyd, which included a copy to Ms. Hunts, indicating that they had conferred and had agreed on essentially almost all of the exhibits. So let me read that into the record and make sure that there's not been any misunderstanding. And now I'm referring to the exhibits that are intended to be offered by the intervener. In the exhibit list is General Counsel's second amended trial exhibit list that I'll be referring to. And this email says exhibits 1 through 22 have been agreed upon as authentic and admissible. Exhibit 23 has been agreed upon as authentic and admissible based on agreement to reduce Exhibit 23 to only pages with the Bates numbers A0, 8, A20, A26, A37, and A49. Exhibit 24, authentic and admissible. Exhibit 25 and 26, there's been no stipulation. Exhibit 27 through 36 have been agreed as authentic and admissible. And Exhibit 37 has been agreed to as authentic, no stipulation as to admissibility. Is that your understanding of the agreement you reached, Mr. Boyd?
Yes, it is, Judge.
Ms. Hans?
Yes, that is our agreement.
All right. Now, Ms. Hans had also submitted a witness and exhibit list on behalf of Ms. Bedoni, and I didn't go back and try to figure out if the exhibits that you've listed, Ms. Hans, are essentially included in the exhibits that Mr. Boyd listed, or whether they're different exhibits. Can you help me out on that? Do we need to talk about your exhibit list, or are your exhibits included in the exhibits that you and Mr. Boyd agreed to?
Yes, my exhibits are included. My exhibits are within the ones that Mr. Boyd and I agreed upon.
All right, thank you. We're not going to talk about the other exhibits that you haven't agreed on. We'll take that up at the hearing as we progress, so that we can have the proper foundation if necessary for the exhibits.
Except, Your Honor, I'm sorry, except for, I believe we wanted to admit as an exhibit the deposition of Aurelio Gallardo, and I've spoken with Mr. Boyd about that on a couple times now, and he indicates that he could not stipulate to that because there were objections made as to foundation within the deposition, and our position is that Mr. Gallardo is he's in the hospital with fourth degree kidney cancer, and he would be absolutely unavailable to attend. We would like him to attend, but he will be unable to. He's very ill. And so we wanted to admit his deposition testimony. Mr. Boyd was asking me if I wanted to limit the testimony just to particular portions. And I said, no, I'd kind of like the whole thing to come in, and so Your Honor could read it. And, but I don't know, Mr. Boyd, what is your position on that at this time?
Well, you got a little bit ahead of me. I was going to get to that in a minute when I talk about witnesses. So bear with me. I'm aware that we need to discuss that.
Okay, I had just put it in my exhibit list. That was why. Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's go over the witnesses and correct me if I'm missing somebody, but it looks like the potential witnesses that have been listed by Ms. Hunts or Mr. Boyd include Karen Bedoni, Stephen Nash, Crystal Mavis, David Raybold, and Aurelio Gallardo. Am I missing somebody?
Not from our end, Judge.
Ms. Hunts?
No, not from our end either.
All right. Mr. Boyd, do you agree that Mr. Gallardo is not available to appear in person?
Well, I mean, he hasn't been subpoenaed, but I don't have any, I guess I'm not going to call for an evidentiary hearing on the representation that he's got cancer. I mean, I think he probably is unavailable if it's true that he's got cancer.
Okay.
So I'm happy to stipulate to that fact.
I haven't looked at the deposition yet because I wanted to talk to you about whether or not there was an agreement on it being admitted. So let's talk about that for a little bit. And let's operate on the assumption that he is not available for medical reasons. And Ms. Hunts wants to submit his deposition as testimony on behalf of Ms. Bedoni. The deposition is fairly lengthy. It looks like it's 149 pages. And I don't know, Mr. Boyd, are there a handful of objections that you want to discuss, or are there 100?
Well, here's the reason that I'm not willing to just allow the whole deposition in, Judge, is that I think that Ms. Bedoni may offer Mr. Gallardo's deposition testimony to establish that, she had no communications with David Raybold, or that she had no communications with Mr. Ness about the deposition, about the billboard, until, subsequent to the filing of the complaint. And so I don't know, the questioning is not clear in the deposition, and without any sort of guidance from Ms. Hans about what the purpose for which his deposition testimony is being offered, I'm hesitant to just let the whole thing in and let it be used for purposes that I don't think Mr. Gallardo has proven competent to testify on.
All right, Ms. Hans? You're muted.
Sorry, yeah, I was muted. Well, I believe that they took his deposition, Your Honor. I didn't take his deposition. They took his deposition, and I believe that it should come in. If we were going to call him as a witness, which we did list him on our witness list, and which he would have appeared as a witness had he been able, but he's just physically not very unwell, and he's not able to testify in person. So we're asking that the sworn testimony that he gave at the deposition that they scheduled be considered in lieu of his appearing live, because he's simply unavailable. Now, as far as the using it, we're not trying to use it to prove anything other than for what, I mean, they questioned him. I cross-examined him. It is testimony that was obtained and is the only sworn testimony that we have of Mr. Gallardo. And a lot of it is, he was asked about, different activities, funding, the billboards that were done down in Albuquerque, which were done by the Bedoni campaign, and things like that. And our position is if objections were made at the time, that they should be ruled on, and then have the testimony come in.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to resolve this morning. I want counsel to confer, and Mr. Boyd, you let Ms. Hans know what portions of the deposition you object to, and if there are specific questions that were asked that you object to, I'll rule upon those at the hearing. But let's see if you all can reach some agreement on at least portions of the deposition being admitted. Is there any reason why we could have this deposition issue resolved as the last witness in the case, so that if we have time constraints, we don't want to keep another live witness waiting? Is there any problem with the sequencing of Mr. Gallardo's deposition, Mr. Boyd?
No, Your Honor. I mean, I guess I would just say that I'm curious generally whether you're expecting the parties to propose findings of fact and conclusions of law. And I guess the other proposal I would suggest is for Ms. Hans to state which parts of the deposition she would use to establish proposed facts, and then I may not have objections depending on what she uses, but I'm counting at least 15 foundation objections in the deposition. There's a number of form objections throughout, and so I'm happy to confer if that's what the course chosen is. But I guess that would be the more sensible approach from my perspective. That being said, discussing the deposition at the end of it, it's going to be Ms. Hans's witness. It's going to be after I present the case for finding a liability, so it's going to come at the end. I was expecting it to come at the end anyways.
All right, Ms. Hans.
Yes, we're fine with it coming at the end, and I'm fine to meet and confer with Mr. Boyd if we can pare it down at all. But I would, my preference at this time would be that he, that his testimony be, that his entire testimony be allowed in. But I can meet and confer with Mr. Boyd, certainly.
We'll do that.
All right. Well, I don't want to read the deposition ahead of time and make rulings without hearing from you and having heard the other testimony in the case. So we'll take this up as the last witness, and to the extent you all can agree, or perhaps you can enter into stipulations that might solve some of these issues and not have to worry about the deposition. But I wasn't contemplating Mr. Boyd, on having findings of fact and conclusions of law until after the hearing. Isn't that the way we proceeded in the other case? There's no point in submitting them until you know what the evidence is.
I agree, Judge. I think I might have been a little unclear in my suggestion. I guess I was saying that to the extent that we're trying to save time at the hearing, the proposed findings of fact could be circulated before submission, and we could confer that way. But I'm happy to confer before the hearing happens.
Well, if you all have prepared findings of fact and conclusions of law, and you want to discuss it, that's certainly fine with me. But I don't intend to require you to submit them to me until after the hearing, because you may want some time to amend what you may have already prepared, depending on what happens at the hearing. So we'll take that up after the hearing. Is there any other issue that you anticipate coming up at the hearing that you want to talk about while we've got everybody together this morning?
Yes, Judge. There's one more thing. Ms. Hans has asked if I would be agreed to have Ms. Mavis testify via Zoom. And Ms. Mavis does appear to have some kind of medical condition that's making it difficult for her to travel to Albuquerque. We've conferred on this. We traded emails yesterday. I wish Jane were here so Jane's out of the office today, but Jane is going to be running all the tech. And, there's some technical issues that I think are going to come from both live streaming the hearing to the public and having a witness testify via Zoom over the projector, not to mention the technical difficulties that can come from having, making sure the witness is audible to the hearing officer and the court reporter. So I propose to Ms. Hans that we just do the same thing. We designate portions of her deposition that we want to use. But we haven't reached an agreement on that. And so that's going to be the other issue that's going to be either addressable today or at the hearing.
Well, Ms. Hans, do you think it's necessary that you call Ms. Mavis as a live witness rather than relying on her deposition testimony?
Yes, we would like her to appear live. Basically, she's a cancer survivor, Your Honor, and she has lymphedema, and she had to go to the doctor. She's got like a cellulitis infection in her leg, and they advised her not to travel to Albuquerque. And we had a note plus a picture of her leg that we submitted to Mr. Boyd. So I don't think he disputes she can't travel, but he's just saying it might be not take as much time if we just use the deposition. However, I'm concerned that Your Honor may have some questions for her that weren't asked in the deposition, and that we might have. We just prefer that she testify live.
All right, that's fine.
But by Zoom, if possible.
Well, that's fine. Well, we'll have to get some idea about what technical issues there might be. I mean, I certainly think we could set up a Zoom meeting and get her live testimony. We not be able to project it onto the screen, and I don't know if that's necessary as long as we get an audio of her testimony. So, Mr. Boyd, why don't you, if Ms. Kilpatrick is not available today, maybe you can confer with her or someone else to see if we can, if the State Ethics Commission can host a Zoom meeting at which Ms. Mavis will attend by Zoom, and the rest of us will be in the conference room where we're having the hearing, and we may not be able to project her image on the screen, but at least we'll be able to see her, and anyone who is attending on a computer will be able to hear her testimony, and if there's anyone that attends the hearing in person, they may even be able to see her depending on where we put the laptop and how big it is. But it sounds like she can't testify in person, so we're going to have to try to accommodate her and Ms. Hans in some fashion. And I don't think it would be appropriate if we can work something out to just rely on her deposition testimony.
The last, I appreciate, Judge, and I will get with Jane to see if that's possible. The only thing I'll note is that Ms. Mavis has given 2 depositions. She testified once during the investigation. She testified again for purposes of the summary judgment motions. In her second deposition, she disclaimed independent recollection of the underlying events, any of the billboard communications. So, I mean, I think she's unavailable for 2 reasons: one, her medical condition, and then 2, she said she doesn't remember any of this. So, I think it's yeah. I would strongly I strongly view that her deposition is sufficient, but I will work with Jane to see what we can do about getting a Zoom call going at the same time in the hearing.
All right. Well, we'll figure something out. Now, we're going to start at 9 o'clock, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 witnesses. I'm not going to limit you to time, but I'm assuming that the exception maybe of is it Bedoni or Bedone? Bedone. I may have been mispronouncing her name all along, Ms. Huns.
No, it's Bedoni. Bedoni. Yeah.
I anticipate these witnesses can be examined in an hour, certainly an hour and a half. So I want to try to get all the testimony in on Monday. And if counsel want to make closing arguments, we can get the closing arguments in on Monday, and then I'll give you as much time as you need to submit requested findings of fact and conclusions of law. Because as I advised counsel, I'm no longer available on Tuesday, but I would like to get the hearing finished on Monday, if at all possible. So be prepared to maybe stay a little bit late Monday afternoon if necessary, because we're going to finish this case Monday, even if we have to put in a little overtime. All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Nothing from respondents. Yeah.
Ms. Huns, have you been advised where the hearing is going to be? Are you familiar with the location?
I believe so. Yeah. So
Is it the same place we've had another hearing, Mr. Boyd?
Yes, it's in the Rotunda, which is on the corner of Basehart and University there, but same parking and same office park.
okay.
Be sure to allow yourself plenty of time so you get there so we can start on time, and we'll probably have at least a short break for lunch, but we're not going to have an hour and a half lunch. So be prepared to work hard and fast and have a light lunch, and we'll finish before midnight, hopefully. All right. You'll have a nice week. See if you can work out your issues regarding Mr. Gallardo's deposition, and then Mr. Boyd, if you'll see if you can get a hold of Ms. Kirkpatrick or somebody else who may be able to help you out, and seeing if there's a way we can do Ms. Mavis by Zoom.
Okay. I will do that.
We'll be in recess. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The recording has stopped.